Hey, so today we are going to be talking about Mercury retrograde because believe it or not, it starts soon, like in 2 days as I'm recording this. So, Mercury retrograde, the first one of 2026, starts on February 26th, and it's going to be in Pisces. So, Mercury retrogrades, I always say, get a bad rap, but they're really, if you know how to work with a Mercury retrograde, then it's magic to me, anyways. So, usually they cause chaos. Things come up. People are like, oh my God, Mercury retrograde is here. My computer isn't working. Communication is off. My car broke down. Which, yes, things like that do happen during Mercury retrograde, but usually it's because you are trying to go too fast, you are trying to move too quickly, or you're trying to move or communicate with people, places, things that are not aligned with what your energy needs and what's for your highest good. So Mercury retrograde brings in the energy to reflect, to recalibrate, to revisit. So Mercury retrograde is when Mercury appears to be moving backwards in the sky. So it doesn't actually move backwards, but because of our viewpoint here on Earth, it looks like it moves backwards. And that's the energy. We need to pretty much move backwards. So we have all this fire energy that just started, and the fire energy actually moved out of Pisces into Aries. And now all of a sudden we have a big Pisces activation happening again. I don't think it's coincidence. We also have the North Node in Pisces. It's Pisces season. And now we have a Mercury retrograde happening in Pisces. So to me, that really just means that we have this big energy moving, but we still have stuff to button up in our Pisces area or with our Pisces energy. So everybody has Pisces energy somewhere, and it shows up for everybody just a little bit different. So when we talk about Mercury retrograde, like I said, we're revisiting, we're recalibrating. For this one especially, Pisces is a very emotional sign, very empathetic, very liminal, spiritual, not really a lot of boundaries with their energy. So I feel like that's exactly what this Mercury retrograde is going to show predominantly, is where we do not have energetic boundaries, where we need energetic boundaries, and where our emotions, we're either pouring too much of our emotions into certain things, or we need more emotional boundaries to greater our emotional capacity or our spiritual capacity. I feel like those are going to be big themes around this period. So definitely wherever Pisces is in your chart, if you want to drop your rising sign in the comments like normal, I can tell you where Pisces is and where this activation is going to be taking place and where you might need to revisit or relook at some things in your life based on where Pisces is. So we also have a lot of other planets in Pisces now. So Mercury kind of like hit some of these planets, the sun, Venus, the North Node, and then it's going to retrograde backwards over some of these planets. So it's like we had this big activation. We're starting to see a little bit what our future is looking like, but then now Mercury is going to be like, all right, but let's take a step back, see what still needs to be done, what we still need to work on so that we can move forward again, because this Mercury retrograde is going to last until March 20th. And then on March 20th, we have a period of about, I think it's just over a month until May, where there are going to be no retrograde planets. So very fast moving energy. So this is the time to take that one last step backwards, that one last look at everything that you've learned over the past couple years, because a lot of this energy is going to be looking at things that happened and changed for us since about 2023 when Saturn moved into Pisces. Really look at that time frame. What changed and what does your energy need now? This, like I said, this Mercury retrograde is also going to be activating the North Node that's in Pisces. So the North Node is destiny, purpose, future. So that is going to be, we're going to be relooking at that as well. I've talked about that before, that a lot of people are going to see that their life purpose has changed, their destiny has changed, they're on a new path towards that. So this recalibration period is recalibrating our energy. So Pisces is very much about the emotional, spiritual, and energetic side of our lives. So this is going to be looking at what needs to change for that area in order to bring it into the reality, to bring it into that Aries, to embody what you need to move forward. So on the opposite end of that, we have the full moon Virgo eclipse happening on March 3rd. So Mercury goes retrograde in Pisces, And then right across, because Pisces and Virgo is opposite, so we have the North Node in Pisces, the South Node in Virgo, with this full moon lunar eclipse happening on March 3rd. So it's the polarity energy too. The South Node is what we came into this life with, our karmic cycles. So I do see a lot of karmic things happening with this cycle right now too, activating especially around that March 3rd area. So this could be like family patterns, lineage stuff, roots, ancestors, your own karmic energy, the karma that you earned, gained, whatever happened in this life, that is going to be activated too. Just a lot of big energy. Like I've said that from the beginning, this is all part of it, but this is going to be the slower moving point before we have some big things happening this summer. So yeah, really take the time during this Mercury retrograde to again check in with yourself. Just like we've had these check-in points before, like all the fire energy was activated. This is kind of that one final look back, one final glance. Like, what do I still need to take care of? What's showing up now? So one thing that is coming in that I want to put out there is, we had this big shed and we had this release period, and I've talked to so many people that have shed and done their work and really come to a place where they're letting stuff go or setting it down or moving on. But when we shed and we release so much stuff, especially in a short amount of time, because I feel like that's what happened with this energy that we had starting in 2026, it leaves a void. It leaves an empty space. So this Mercury retrograde is going to show you where that empty space is and what you need to fill it with, because we don't want to fill it with the same stuff. We don't want to fill it with negative karmic patterns. We want to fulfill it with karmic destiny, our purpose, our light, our life force, so that we can break those karmic patterns that we've accrued and that our family and ancestors have accrued too. So I feel like this Mercury retrograde is really going to show us the void and the energy that we want to fill that void with. Yeah. Crystals, because that's my jam. Crystals to use during Mercury retrograde. My favorites are moss agate. This guy is one of my personal collection ones, and I love it. Moss agate is very grounding. So moss agate is pretty much a crystal that can be used all of 2026. With this fire energy, we want to ground some of that. We don't want it to get overheated. So moss agate is a really, really good one. Fluorite will be my all-time favorite Mercury retrograde crystal. It's one of my all-time favorites, just like moss agate in general. But fluorite, especially green and blue fluorite for the Mercury retrograde. So green fluorite helps to rid a space of negative energy, and all fluorite helps to bring focus and clarity, which are much needed during Mercury retrograde when the brain is moving usually in a wonky way. So the brain wants to move fast. Mercury wants to move fast. It's a fast-moving planet. So when it gets sidetracked and going backwards, that's when we have that disconnect. So fluorite is going to be my go-to for this. So this is, again, a personal piece. I love it. I have these green-blue fluorites too. So this is the combination of the blue and the green. Blue, you cannot go wrong, I think, with Mercury retrograde in anything green or blue. So that is water and earth energy. And when we have all this fire energy going on, water and earth help to balance that fire energy. And blue really just helps throat chakra. It helps with communication in general. I have lapis lazuli and sodalite too, another good pair for Mercury retrograde. And then my other one would be turquoise. So turquoise is helping to ground the communication. So bringing the overthinking into the body, into the ground, so that we can make heads or tails of it. And it doesn't just stay in that airy energy in the brain. So I feel like those are my main picks. I'm trying to think of any other ones that want to come through, but no, those would be my suggestions. Trying to think of anything else. If you are Mercury ruled, if you have heavy Virgo, because Virgo is for Mercury ruled, which I just realized we have that lunar eclipse happening in a Mercury ruled sign. So that's going to bring this Mercury retrograde energy really to the forefront. So if you're Virgo heavy or Gemini heavy, then this Mercury retrograde is probably going to affect you a little bit more. You might see more of these themes really coming in. So what's coming in is that look at the things that are not going away. Look at the things that keep coming up over and over again. Those things that you keep putting aside, but keep showing back up, whether that be people or conversations or things that you're supposed to do. Look at those things. Look at the things in your mind that are reactivated, that keep coming to your mind. Because those are probably going to be the things that you want to follow, that trail that you want to follow. Like I said, just looking again in my brain with my guidance to see if anything else wants to come through. I don't think so. I think those were the main points. If I think of anything else, I will drop them in the comments. If you have any questions about Mercury retrograde or the energy that's going on right now, definitely let me know and I will try and help as much as I can. I am going to do a throat activation at some point. So Mercury rules the throat and we can try and like clear some of the stagnant energy out while Mercury retrograde is here. That's another good thing to do during Mercury retrograde is look back at things that you've talked about, things that you've written. One of my favorite things to do during Mercury retrograde is to look back over my channeled messages to myself, my journals, anything that I wrote down, old card pulls, and see the themes that want to come back out. See something, a lot of times I forget, we forget what's there. We forget what we were thinking about. This can be a good time to kind of bring some of that stuff in. So anyways, throat activation, we can help to clear some of that out and kind of get that energy recharged during this Mercury retrograde. So I'm going to be doing a channeled healing session for the throat at some point during this Mercury retrograde. And then I will be posting a card spread for the full moon as well. Just talking about the throat stuff is making my throat weird. So I know I got stuff to clear out too. That's probably why I want to do a throat activation. Because like I said, this energy work is just as much for me as it is for you. So yeah, we definitely got some throat stuff going on. Let me know too. We have the heart one that I posted, the Venus one. I think that was one of the first things I posted. I want to know just generally if you felt anything, if anything was activated for you, if you had a hard time with it. I know a couple people had a hard time with the heart one. Usually we hold a lot of stuff in the heart and it can be hard. The throat is another place too. So that's something to be aware of as we go into the throat clearing and activation channeled healing session as well. That sometimes it can be difficult to get some of that out, or sometimes it can be difficult to acknowledge that we have so much stuff there still. But that's usually, especially if you're female, that's usually where we hold a lot of energy is between our heart and our throat, because we guard our heart and then that kind of spills over into the throat and the solar plexus. The energy is where we usually have a lot of problems. So we're going to try and take care of that. We're going to try and get it moving and get it going and really use this Mercury retrograde energy to its fullest. Because like I said, I am kind of on the other side of things and I love Mercury retrograde. It's not easy and it's not always fun, but it usually shows me a clear path of what I need to be working on, what I need to be focusing on, and what I'm allowing that I shouldn't, what I'm trying to be in alignment with that's not in alignment, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think I'm going to end it there. Any questions or anything, drop it in the comments. And if you put your rising sign in the comments, I'll show you where this energy is going to be taking place for you. All right, see ya.